Good morning everyone, let's get started on today's analysis. We are on EU. On the daily chart we have EU on the top, DXY on the bottom. Now what's the daily chart showing us? Well, looking into even the recent say week or two, price hasn't really moved much or well, right? Just looking at these candles here, we've just remained around this zone here, possibly within this internal leg. So nothing special. Possibly it's because it's coming to the end of the year, or this momentum from this bearish trend is dying out. We found some support and we may be due that proper pullback up into a premium, say, of this leg here. Okay, so all those scenarios are possible. Now, if we look into yesterday, not much movement. We're still within that previous day on the Monday's candle. So we just closed out as a sort of bullish doji here. So it's hard to read from this, in my opinion, on the daily. However, it may mean that yes, we are due to continue going higher. We'll have to see what the lower time frame structure and trend is showing there. And another thing to point out, like I said yesterday, we did make that lower low below this sort of internal low here on DXY. So perhaps it is showing signs that DXY does want to reach down lower into a discount, right? Maybe down to this order block here, as we also reach up into this order block in this direction. So like I said, price hasn't moved in any obvious direction just yet. So the lower time frames may be becoming unclear. And it's the first week of December, it may be waiting around for some sort of news. Okay, there's a lot of high impact news due this week as well. So that may be responsible for all of this price action. So in terms of today, we haven't taken any of the buy side liquidity highs or lows from the previous day. All right, so let's go down to the 4 hour. Let's see what that looks like for us. So after Monday here on this 4 hour chart, you can see that it was totally bearish. Into yesterday, you can see our daily range isn't very large, right? This low here to this high here. So we stayed within, say, a discount of this leg, right? After we reached down, took some sell side liquidity below these lows into this order block here, rejected that area, but price is hanging around, maybe showing the signs of support. Of course, my bias was for price to come back up possibly into this area here, this 4 hour order block with imbalance, to then look to see if this provides resistance to maybe continue our bearish trend, right? We had an internal switch in that order flow breaking below this low, right? So possibly that was a signal we are going to continue this bearish trend from this area here. I don't have any immediate direction from here. We have the same draw on price above, so that is possible, right? I would prefer price to come up into this area here if I am to look for shorts. That would be a preference there. Wait for price and the structure on lower time frames to switch from around this zone. Now, if I just bring my attention over to DXY, now if I go with a bullish DXY bias, as I said on the daily, it may actually in fact want to pull down a bit more to its discount. However, if we analyze, say, this 4 hour lower time frame where we took sell side liquidity, made that internal higher high above here, same way we made that lower low there, we have pulled back somewhat. We have swept the sell side liquidity lows of these previous lows, and even yesterday we swept that low there, right? And we've made somewhat of a bullish move. We haven't gone on to make a higher high yet, but perhaps we will. So sell side liquidity last taken, we may head for some buy side liquidity at least, maybe above these highs, previous daily high. And we'll see what price does with that. I see sort of both ways. The 4 hours not clarifying anything for me yet. That's why I'd prefer us to be in a POY, wait for a breakdown. So I'll have to see where price ends up. So in summary, no full clarity just yet on the 4 hour. I am just a little bit more biased to the downside because we are still within that bearish leg structure, rejected that premium, broke down internally. Okay. Just price action's not been great of recent. We're not yet into a good POY or taking any buy side liquidity for me to get maybe a bit more of a bias from, right? But I do lean towards the shorts. So let's head down to the hourly. Let's see what that looks like for us. So the hourly chart is in somewhat of a range on both EU and DXY, as you can see here and here. We did come to this low, right? So I've drawn the leg from this as being the premium, this as being the discount. Right, we had that bearish leg where we broke below these lows here. I was looking forward to price coming back to this premium here, mitigating it where we have these order blocks and 1 hour POY within that 4 hour POY, and then looking for that possible downward move. However, if I look into our recent price action today, where it looked like we was making that pullback with this high, higher low, higher high, we mitigated this 1 hour POY area here. It came up, took some buy side liquidity, late yesterday evening and have made our way down again, also mitigating this once more below these lows, right? So we've taken some sell side liquidity, okay, into overnight today's price action and pulled up, and now we've mitigated an imbalance. So we're kind of between two POIs, and the way we've rejected this imbalance here, we have gained some bearish momentum. Now of course we then have another 1 hour order block here with imbalance that may serve as support, though at the moment this low would be weak because we didn't go on to make a higher high. So it does then again add on to my bearish bias, like my lean towards a bearish bias. As I said before, I'd prefer if it was after taking some buy side liquidity above previous daily highs and this high, and most preferably up into this 4 hour, 1 hour POI, right, rather than in the discount. So I may need to wait for more, may need to see further breakdown of course, but from reading this price action and this possible weak low, it is adding to my confluences of looking to short EU. Right, so if we look at DXY as well, again, as I said, we took that low from yesterday as well and all these other lows here, and we did go on internally to break above these highs. We've pulled back 1 hour order block with imbalance as well, and we've been a bit bullish from there in that last hour, so we may go on to break this week high, come for this buy side liquidity at the previous daily high, or even this week low here in the grand scheme of, say, this price action. So again, I'm not super clear on all of the price action. We can read and gain some sort of narrative and bias, but I'm not going to force anything with trades. That would be a bit irresponsible. Preferably from up this area here, but there is possibly signs that we are just going to break down from this area here, especially if we reject this zone and come for this week low and this sell side liquidity here to continue our higher time frame trend. Same with DXY, coming for these highs like a trend line. So in saying that, let's go down to the M15. Let's see what that looks like for us. So as I mentioned, I'll proceed with a bit of caution, probably look for continuations of order flow, right? Multiple breakdowns, that is, like lower lows. We have news on the horizon, so we may not get a great New York session at all. So what could I look for to go with that possible bearish bias I'm leaning towards? Again, negative would be this above drawing in price if we was to short from this price action in here, but we've rejected higher time frame POI, and we have maybe some early signs now on the M15 of break of structure. So below this low here, made a high, high low, high high, filling the imbalance, old M15 order block as well, and then we broke down below this low. Now I don't see a trade here at the moment, right? We've got the exact same signs and signals on DXY going on along with all the other high time frame narrative confluences I mentioned. But what we could do, maybe wait for it to pull back. It might mitigate this zone here, something on a lower time frame within here, and then I'd probably wait for it to break down again, another break of structure below this low, hopefully with some momentum, with an imbalance leaving behind an order block, okay, and then I would look for some sort of pullback to that order block imbalance to head towards these weak lows down here. Right, only if price action looks right. Like I said, I don't want to be irresponsible just trading for the sake of trading. Right, break of structure there, possible corrective pullback, leaving inducement around this zone here, and then we can have our stop loss just above the highs, of course. Trading towards that discount, so maybe a continuation like that. Right, break of structure, pull back here, break of structure again, okay, pull back to this zone here to look for something to go short, because price seems like this 1 hour order block didn't give enough for us to then go on and make a higher high and come into this zone here. And then that would look the same on DXY, hopefully. Come down, mitigate this again, break above, pull back to head towards its previous daily high for buy side liquidity. As you can see, price hasn't moved with any super momentum. It is bearish and has broken below this, but not enough after this buy side liquidity sweep to leave any imbalances or anything clear for me. And the same on the M5, so you can see how that price action's been forming. It's very slow and very just dribble, right? So I don't care to be involved in any of that. So in saying that, yes, my bias, I'm looking for shorts, preferably from up here, but it may happen from down here. Looking for trades that are confirming order flow, okay? Nothing silly, don't need to force anything. That would be irresponsible. So let's move on to GJ. Let's see what that looks like. So on GJ here on the daily, We are getting some bullish movement now, finally, after all of this bearish move here from the top of this leg. We completely mitigated, I believe, this imbalance here on the daily. Price withdrew from and ended up actually closing bullish after its bearish move that day, right? Taking sell side liquidity from that previous daily low and closing that imbalance. Now today you can see we have bullish momentum. We're well above that previous daily high, so we may get some sort of pullback into maybe this daily premium, right? So we have maybe an imbalance here with order block, may prove as resistance, but we also have imbalances above, imbalance and order block very obviously above here in this premium. So that's the long-term picture. Obviously, day trading wise, yes, it's probably pointing towards some sort of bullish bias given all the sell side liquidity in POI we've mitigated, right? So let's go down to the 4 hour. Let's see what that shows. Okay, now the 4 hour also showing possible early signs of a structure switch, right? We had our bearish leg, pulled back, mitigated that 4 hour imbalanced POI, broke down, making a lower low. However, we wicked below that low, so a sweep in my opinion of sell side liquidity, and since that sweep we've been bullish. Okay, we closed above previous daily high with this last 4 hour candle. We're still moving fairly bullish now with this current candle, so there'll be buy side liquidity above here, maybe as inducement for this zone here, this imbalance with 4 hour POI, possibly drawing price to it. Once we're into this area, of course, I will be cautious of this as resistance. Okay, it may cause some sort of pullback or continuation of that bearish trend. But like I said, now having broken above this high here, does look like we possibly are going to switch our order flow coming for these buy side liquidity highs, maybe coming towards more of a premium. Right, a 4 hour switch is pretty significant in my opinion. So I do like how this looks. And for the time being, maybe now that we've come above these highs, maybe there'll be some intraday short trades. We'll see. We'd love to get involved in possibly the long trades, but if we take enough buy side liquidity and structure breaks down, we may get some sort of early shorts. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking. Let's go down to the hourly though and see what that looks like for us. Yeah, so here on the hourly, it also shows a bit more clearly that same switch in structure, right? Made that lower low here, but also closed as a sweep even on the hourly after rejecting this 1 hour POI, 4 hour POI, came down, filled the daily imbalance, took that sell side liquidity, closed above it, sort of respecting it in that essence, and then we've been bullish ever since, right? Especially once Asia opened this morning. Now, one thing to point out, we have come into say this 1 hour order block zone here. We've just gone above it, maybe took some buy side liquidity above the high here, but we are rejecting currently, right? You can see that 1 hour candle has now turned bearish after all of that momentum. So again, yes, we may see some sort of lower time frame pullback, maybe to this imbalance with order block that we left behind, which seems to be where we got that momentum from today after taking some sell side liquidity below these lows, swept below these lows, moved bullish, broke that high. So maybe a draw on price down towards here. I do see this as a new bullish leg. Maybe these, if we do go short, are like counter trend to this new trend that's appearing. For the time being, we have a draw on price above ultimately as well, but we have taken significant maybe buy side liquidity, order block, and we're getting some bearish momentum at the moment, so we'll see what's going on a lower time frame. So let's go down to the M15, see what that looks like for some trading today. So on the M15, nothing super clear to me at the moment for a trade to enter in or anything. As I mentioned, the more immediate opportunity may be for a short, like a pullback into this M15 leg here down to this zone, which is that 1 hour POI. There's been no breakdown yet. You may see it more earlier on the M5, for example. So we have swept buy side liquidity above that high here, and the M5 could be creating a structure, say like how it is now. That's a bit more obvious than on the M15. So what I'd want to see to go for a short, and the only reason I am looking at shorts is just because this may be a resistance zone here. I would need to see this structure flip, right? M5 structure, order flow is currently bullish. So I would need price to create some structure here like this. Maybe it's going to pull back to a zone here, something like this, let's say respects this zone or sweeps the high and then breaks down again. So I need to see a breaker structure around here or here, whatever it's going to do, and then pull back to an order block here, back towards this 1 hour POI zone there. So order block left behind with imbalance, break of structure around these zones here, possible inducement if we pull back correctively here, and then we can set our order to go short, stop loss just above the high, right, to aim back into this zone here. Now that's the only reason, of course, that I want to look for shorts. We're sort of in a premium of this new leg. We've got a 1 hour POI, we've taken plenty of buy side liquidity, so we'll see what price does. Of course, there's the possibility it's going to continue higher. That's fine for me. Maybe something clearer for me will show for a long, but at the moment I don't want to deal with this zone here. So maybe once we break through this zone, maybe, or I'll wait till up here and look for a better short opportunity. So that's everything. I hope that was clear. I hope you gained value from that. Again, today I'm not forcing any trades, so any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.